Hey everybody. So, what we're going to be doing this particular week is we will begin a project that is probably my students, all my past students, their favorite project. And this particular project is entitled the Grunge Project. And with the Grunge Project, there will be a multitude of things that we'll be doing to create something that has a grungy feel to it. All right, so let me start off by saying there are two files that you should have downloaded um, from Moodle, and the main file we'll be going over today is the file entitled Grunge Project Examples. Okay, and if you have the file downloaded already, let's go ahead and take a look inside of that particular folder. So inside this folder we have one, two, three, four, five. We got five different folders, right? And within these folders, I'm just going to go over the things I've chosen. And also I'm going to go over what the grunge project actually is, okay? So when you think about grunge, what comes to mind? Well, different things might come to mind depending on who you are. However, when I think about grunge, I think about these types of images that I selected for these examples, okay? And let's start off with the very first folder entitled Games. And inside this folder I have 12 different images, and let's just go over some of them pretty briefly. So with this particular image right here, if you take a look at how this image is made, it has this feeling of it's like it's just there's a roughness to it, and also with this particular piece there is a certain feeling to it. And with this feeling right off the bat, if you were to look at this, you already know it's dealing with horror, right? And horror is a really good genre to utilize when it comes to using the grunge project. And what I mean is, with the grunge project, basically what we'll be doing is we'll be utilizing movies, video games, or TV shows to create a piece of digital art. Now that digital art has to have a certain feel to it, which in this case the feel is grunginess. So take a look at the texture, and also just take a look at how the color toning is. Right now, just black and white, which is pretty simple. Um, let's move on to the next example. Let's go to let's see which one. Let's see. I think like this one right here. All right, so this is something for a Silent Hill video game, right? And for this particular video game, uh, the overall feel of the game is like it's pure creepiness, right? And what somebody decided to do was they decided to create a piece of advertising material that has a grungy feel to it to sell this game, just like the very first one I showed you. All right, you create a grungy piece to sell a video game, and basically when you take a look at this, you see the color tone, the color palette that they use. You have the reds, you have the oranges, you have the yellows, the blacks, and a little bit of whites too. So with that being said, the grunge project, you'll be utilizing a ton of textures, you'll be utilizing different colors, and you'll be utilizing different images as well. So let's go to the next one. All right, let's find a really good one. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. It's the same. It's the same nurse. However, it's like she's standing on the textures and whatnot. But there's no typography in this. But I still think it looks good. And let's go to another one. Let's go to um. Okay, this one's pretty cool. All right, but the one I'm gonna go to is the one that I created already. And actually, you can see this one, but it's a little bit. I got another one here that you can actually see a lot better. It's inside of my class examples, and even though I created this piece, I put it inside my class examples. But let's just take a look at how this piece was put together. So with this, I'm not sure if you guys even play video games, but the technique will remain the same even if it wasn't a video game. It could be a TV show, it could be a movie, it could be whatever. But the thing is with this, I created this piece utilizing the techniques I'm going to show you. However, I added a little bit of extra. But with that being said, if you were to take a look at this particular piece, what kind of feel do you get that this game might be about? If you've played a game, you'll know exactly what it's about. But there's a few things that pretty much tell you what this game is about. So if we take a look at the vines here, we have this knife here, switchblade, and we have a gun over here with some blood and some blood on the corner, and then we have this flashlight, beaming light on this particular image. So if you were to take a guess, now granted, everybody might not see the same thing, which is totally fine. But if you were to take a guess, and if you play this game is about survival against some pretty creepy things. Now I could have added some more things to this particular piece, but the thing is, I just wanted to get like a simple point across. Maybe get somebody excited about, hey, what is this game about? Also, um, something else. I actually utilized characters from the game, and you'll get to know these characters pretty well when I actually go over the actual practice part of this project. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, number one, I'm explaining the project to you, and then number two, I'm going to give you guys the practice. I'm going to teach you guys the different techniques, and then number three, I am going to actually just hand you the project so you can do it on your own. So now what we're going to do is, like, we're going to continue to get to know these characters pretty well when I actually go over the actual practice part of this project. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to, number one, I'm explaining the project to you, and then number two, I'm going to give you guys the practice. I'm going to teach you guys the different techniques, and then number three, I am going to actually just hand you the project so you can do it on your own. So now what we're going to do is, like, we're going to continue studying this image, but like there's a few things to take note of, like I mentioned earlier. Now I have the title, I have the characters, I have the developer of the game. Um, Also, another thing that I would like to point out is, even though a majority of the techniques I'm going to show you pertain to adding a image on top of textures and whatnot, you can also add other images on top of that. For example, we have um, the vines here, the gun here, knife here, and the flashlight here. So that's something else. But anyways, let's get back to the other examples, okay? So inside of the other examples, let's say, actually no, let's go to the movies, okay? And inside the movies, we have a multitude of images, okay? And let's just go over these. So we have Gladiator. Actually, hold on a second. Let's just go over all these real quick. All right, so here we have Gladiator, right? And with Gladiator, you could take a look and see exactly how this can be categorized as grungy. Number one, the tone of this movie poster, the way the way the image is, the texture that we get around this image. I think everything looks good. It looks really really good, and I mean it's pretty solid. Here we have the title. We have the release date, which I always thought was really cool, like May 2000 AD. I thought that the way they did that was really really awesome. So, with that being said, there is going to be a typographical element with this particular project. So you won't just do everything in uh, Photoshop. Well, you can do all this in Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how. But like what I'm saying is, instead of just sticking to just creating a piece of artwork, you can also start utilizing typography in it to create something completely, well, you can create something that that isn't just based on imagery. You know what I mean? Even though it is kind of based on imagery, you're taking the imagery that you create and you are creating like a movie poster or a advertisement. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Apocalypto. All right, this is actually a really good movie. And if you take a look at this particular image, you could definitely see the texture. You could see the characters here. You could see the characters in the background faded out. The sky right here. I mean, this overall piece is just like awesome. Either way, yeah, it's oh God, I love this. All right. Okay, now we have V for Vendetta. So with V for Vendetta, the thing I really like about this, besides uh, the imagery and the textures and just the way everything looks, I really love the way they use typography for this. I know this isn't a typography class, but I'm just giving you guys, hey, look, I'm just telling you, like, you can actually utilize typography to create a really cool piece along with your digital art side of it. Okay, so let's go to the next piece. Another really good example. Now with this one, this is really grungy. We have like a whole bunch of textures. We have our imagery here, and then on top of that, again, we have our typography. And typography is really used a lot when it comes to movie posters, as you can see. But you do have some movie posters that are like really simplistic, that doesn't have a lot of typography in it. But in this case, we have a really nice balance of typography and image manipulation. We have the title over here. We have the tagline. Then we have the actors' names right here, and then we have a shout out to uh, the director who directed the Walk the Line, and then we have your typical movie poster typography down here and release date. The uh, production company, which I think Lionsgate is a production company. I'm not too sure. And then you have the rating on the other side over here. And yeah, so let's go to. Oh wait, what am I doing? Let's see, 2, 3. All right, let's go to. We have this one, which looks pretty cool. Um, this one right here, we have Halloween, and yeah, I think that looks really awesome. We have imagery within imagery within imagery within imagery. You see, it's crazy, right? Okay. Here we have another piece here, which is like a really cool movie poster of perfume. We have the image of the woman cut out. She's on a texture, and then they have parts of her cut out, and but then you have all these different roses to make it seem as if like the roses were part of her. You know, I thought that was really cool. This could be done with layer masking or whatnot, uh, but it doesn't have to go that to this level. Here's another really cool one. We have this handprint that is made out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Then you actually have this face on the inside, which is pretty cool. We have the 300. See, this one is grungy, but it's not like type based driven. We have a tagline here, and then we have the title. You see? And, all right, American Gangster is another one, which I thought was really cool. We had the city within the one of the main characters. Oh, why is that? That's what they decided to do. They decided to create a techniques that I really think that are really suitable for uh, creating these kinds of pieces. And the file that you'll be using for it is the grunge resources for class. Okay, so you might have already downloaded it, but if you haven't, go ahead and download it. And what'll happen is I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Okay. All right. Until then, if you have any questions or whatnot, just let me know. And yeah, But you know what? Before I actually let you guys go, I want you guys to take note of something. With the grunge resources for class file, I have 11 folders within this folder. And just to give you guys a little insight of how I like to think when it comes to creating projects, the way I do it is I create a project folder, and within that project folder, I have different folders that are pretty much representative of the images that I need. So in this particular folder, we have the blood, we have our brushes that I downloaded, we have one of the characters, different images of the character within that folder. We got the flashlights, the font, we have the image of glass, another character, logos, textures, vines and moss, and weapons. Okay. And the thing what makes this so important is that it's a really good idea to whenever you're about to start this project, it's a good idea to think about what it is that you want to sell, or should I say, what you want to create an advertisement for, and then create folders that will actually relate to what it is that you're trying to create an advertisement for. Okay. Uh, or should I say, create a folder that has folders, and name each one of those folders whatever it is that you put inside of it. So you can, like, your textures, you could put your characters, or whatever, you know. But with all that being said, you guys, there is a few things to take note of. Uh, the first thing is, number one, pay attention to the videos that I show you. Okay, that's really important. That will give you guys the technical aspect of this particular project. It's going to show you how to do it, and then you can take what you learn and then apply it to a project. Now, the actual project won't start until next week, but it's a really good idea to practice the techniques I'm going to show you this week. Okay. All right. So, you guys, until next time, I will see you guys in the grunge project practice series that I All right, guys, what's going on? Okay, so what we're going to be doing um, for this grunge practice, I'm going to break down some techniques for you guys. Okay, these techniques are pretty much what you basically need to do for this particular project, um, and then I'll show you guys a little more techniques that I like to use for this project. And honestly, I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. These techniques, they're pretty simple, I would like to say. Um, I think you guys will probably look at this project and be like, okay, well, that was pretty easy. And the thing is that that's the kind of reaction I kind of want from you guys, because this project is not over the top difficult, but at the same time we can create something pretty nice. All right, because honestly, you don't always have to go a really difficult route when it comes to creating pieces in Photoshop. All right, but with that being said, here's what I want you guys to do. I have a file I have in Moodle. It should be called, I think it's grunge resources file. I think that's what I named it. And basically, inside of that file, well, let's see what's inside of that file. It's called, grunge resources for class. And inside of that file, we have 11 folders, right? And those 11 folders are entitled blood, brushes, Ellie, flashlights, font. Go down to where it says transparency and gamut. And you can see in every one of these folders are named, and they have items that relate to the name. Okay. So now, with all that being said, what I like to do, I like to go let's go to like the textures folder, right? And inside the textures folder, I have about 7 different textures. And the texture I want to start off with is the one that says paper texture larger right here, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag this to the Photoshop icon on my Mac. Okay? Now, if you don't if you're not comfortable with doing that, what you could do is just go to Photoshop, you know, click and then just go to File, Open, and then find that file, or should I say, find that image and open it up. Okay. So, for example, I'll go to File, Open, then choose Grunge Resources for Class. The only thing is you just have to find that file that got downloaded, and then, you know, just click on Paper Texture Larger, and then click Open. Okay. So, why did I choose this paper texture? Well, for imagery like this, for this kind of project, you always want to start with a base, right? And normally my base always starts with the texture, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this texture and copy it and paste it into my document, all right? So I'm going to go to select all or Command A, hit copy, go to my grunge practice file and paste it on in. All right, and right off the bat, I'm just gonna go ahead and name it. I'm gonna name this layer. I'm gonna name it texture. All right, and now I see that the texture is kind of all over the place. So I'm just gonna go to my free transform, which is Command T or Control T if you're on a PC. Or you could just go to, you know, edit, free transform. And I'm just gonna go now outside and rotate it. So that way it'll fit. And I'm gonna bring down some of these areas. Okay. I think I'm gonna stick to, and you can see right off the bat that you have Joel in color and you have Joel in black and white. And it looks a lot more you know, it looks a little bit more drab. It's not as it's I mean it's cool, honestly. I really like it like this. Alright guys,